Where do our loyalties lie?
So why Ahmadiyyat?
They're not fanatics, they're sick.
To make a better world for everyone.
With real stories,
There's nothing that I've done differently, I've just been me.
real issues,
Is it possible to be loyal to two different countries?
real views. This is Real Talk Canada. Assalamu alaikum. I shall cause thy message to reach the corners of the earth. Claims of a common man which spread like wildfire, village to village, community to community, continent to continent. And that common man was no longer a common man, rather the promised Messiah, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salam, of Qadian, India. Every day, every week, every month, every year, thousands upon thousands are finding a clinch for their thirst under this abode of peace. Who are these people? What is this phenomena? The topic we're discussing on this episode is why am I an Ahmadi? With real stories, real issues, real views. This is Real Talk Canada. We have with us today an expert panel as well as a live audience as well. First of all, I would like to start with our panel in the front. We have Maulana Mubarak Nazir, Missionary in Charge Canada. Assalamu alaikum. Mubarak Nazir Sahib has 20 years of missionary experience in Western Africa. He was a principal of multiple schools in Northern Africa, as well as 20 years of missionary work in Canada. He's also the founding principal of Jamia, also known as a school of religion and theology, the first one of its kind in the Western world. Along with Mubarak Nazir Sahib, we also have Sabi Nasir Sahib. Assalamu alaikum. Sabi Nasir Sahib is the Vice President of Ahmadiyya Youth Association with background in IT. He's also a graduate of University of Toronto. Right next to him, we have Adam Abid Alexander. Assalamu alaikum. Adam Alexander was born a Jehovah's Witness and raised as such as well. At the age of 20, he got introduced to Islam and he converted to being a Sunni. Finding further research and doing personal research with his own friends, he became an Ahmadi 3 years ago. Right next to him, we also have Atal Wahid Sahib. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Also a convert who has an abundance of experience of traveling all over the world and doing missionary work, especially in Africa. He's done numerous documentaries, as well as he's a renowned author of multiple books. Before we get started with our show, Why Am I an Ahmadi? Let's get a quick word on the street.
When you plant a seed into the earth, you feed it, water it, and nurture it in the hope that one day it will grow into a strong and fruitful plant. This same concept can be applied to an event which happened just over 100 years ago in the small, relatively unknown area of Qadian in India, where the promised Messiah alayhi salam planted the seed of the Ahmadiyya movement in Islam. But in the case of this event, there was one important exception. The promised Messiah alayhi salam did not plant the seed in hope. He planted it with firm conviction and absolute certainty that it would grow and flourish. He had the word of Allah Almighty Himself, who had revealed to him that He would cause His message to reach the corners of the earth. Today, we see that that small seed planted some 100 years ago has transformed itself into a movement nurtured by the hands of Allah the Almighty that has captured the hearts and minds of millions through love and humility. So as members of this blessed community, we have to ask ourselves why we are an Ahmadi Muslim. What are the core values of Ahmadiyyat, and why have we accepted the Prophet Messiah alayhi salam as a prophet of God? Because it is only after we've done this critical evaluation that we can really call ourselves a true Ahmadi Muslim.
Why have you become Ahmadis? Why have you left your family? Why have you left your old religion? What benefit did you get? If you have not become a better human being, if you have not become a better husband or a better wife or a better citizen, if you have not become a more peaceful person in your business, in your dealing with people, then what is the use of becoming an Ahmadi? Why should you lose your family and all your tribe and everything, and people laugh at you and joke at you and persecute you and they hate you, and then you don't get any benefit? If you have become an Ahmadi, there must be a change in you. You must have a relationship with God the Almighty. You must find out that have you become a better person? Each night you sleep, you should think for 2 minutes, have I become a better human being? Does God listen to my prayers? That is the criteria, these are the credentials which will show you whether you made a right choice or not.
So today, to find out the answers to these questions and much more, we've come to the Ahmadiyya Peace Village in Toronto, Canada, to take a listen to the word on the street.
We have somebody to follow, we have somebody to guide us, we trust him, and we know Sami'na wa atana, that we listen and we obey.
Ahmadis are basically the role models of our society today. They are the best among the best. Like the way they are dressed, the way they're supposed to act, their attitude, everything like that is supposed to be, they're supposed to be role models for the future generations as well as the present.
It's in the news and media and stuff that like terrorism, but like people think that we're terrorists as well because we're Muslims, but we don't have that title on us because we're Ahmadis and we're apart from all the other Muslims.
I feel lucky to be an Ahmadi Muslim because I have a Khalifa to guide me to the right path, so I learn good things, not bad things.
To be a Muslim in this day and age would practically mean to believe in the Messiah of the latter days, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad al-Islam. How that makes us different is because the Holy Prophet of Islam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself said that whoever does not recognize the Imam of the time dies the death of ignorance. So we the Muslims, we adhere to the call of that promised Messiah.
I feel lucky and proud to be an Ahmadi because this is where you find that true connection with God and the true spirituality.
I don't have to think in ignorance. I have the guidance, I have the hidayah from God the Almighty that He gave to His promised Messiah, which has directly connected me to the teachings of Holy Prophet ﷺ 14 centuries ago.
I feel lucky to be an Ahmadi because of the brotherhood, and you feel more spiritual, like when you guys are together, you go to jalsas and stuff. The bond we have between each other is much stronger than the bond we have with anybody outside of our society, right?
I believe that in our day and time, in this day and age, the best example or the model that we have for us is our beloved Imam. And the amazing and the beautiful thing about our beloved Imam is that he has that charisma and that awe-inspiring spiritual prowess that gathers everybody together. It's like a unifying glue that just attracts everybody. It's a magnetic power, and that is why I strongly believe that I am an Ahmadi.
So after watching that, I want to start right away into the very purpose and definition of any religion. And I'd like to pose a question. What is the basic principle of any religion?
The basic principle of any religion is belief in God, belief in the existence of God, believe in His angels, believe in all His prophets, believe in all His books, believe in the day of accountability, the day of resurrection, when we will all have to give account. Islam believes that all religions started, their source was pure, and later on things were added and subtracted. but in reality, all religions emanate from a fountain which was absolutely pure. The broader sense of a religion is that if I speak nicely to a person, that's my religion. If I speak nicely to my spouse, to my son, to my children, to my friends, to my neighbors, to be a good citizen, to be a law-abiding person. So these are all, things which a true religion should have.
Mubarak, so you can also say that there's a lot of religions that can abide by the very outlines and the guidelines you gave. So why Ahmadiyyat?
You see, Islam teaches that absolute obedience to God, and the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was a universal prophet, and he prophesied that a time would come when the world would forget the basic teachings of Islam. The Muslims would be derailed, and he said at that time of crisis, God would send a reformer who would come and revive Islam, who would bring Islam back to its original beauty. And so, exactly according to the prophecy of the Holy Prophet, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian made a claim about 120 years ago, and he formed a community who would become better human beings. And so Ahmadiyyat is a community, is a Jamaat all over the world. We are not interested only in the numbers. We are interested in the quality of our adherents, whether they are good citizens, good husbands, good wives, and law-abiding people, have got a relationship with God. Because we believe in a living God, and we believe that a God who talks, not that he spoke yesterday and he does not speak now. We believe in a living God, and so that is the main thing that differentiates an Ahmadi from another person. We believe that Allah Ta'ala can give us absolute, tranquility and peace, and we feel that there is a purpose of life, and we feel that this tunnel is not closed at the end. So this is one of the main differences between an Ahmadi and other people, that we believe that there is peace.
So Mubarak, so you definitely touched up on what does Ahmadiyyat bring to this world. But what I want to ask my panel member is, what is the core beliefs of an Ahmadi? Sure.
It's the same core beliefs as any Muslim should have. We have to fulfill our responsibilities to God and fulfill our responsibilities to ourselves and our fellow man, which all religions demand. Fortunately for us, as Ahmadi Muslims, we have been clearly told what those responsibilities are and how we're expected to fulfill them.
Adam, I'd like to come to yourself, because you were born and raised Jehovah's Witness. Then you learned about Islam in your 20s, and you became an Ahmadi 3 years ago. What I want to ask you is, what are some of the similarities and differences that you found between other religions and Ahmadiyyat?
Well, I noticed no real difference in the beginning of being a Muslim when I would go to a Sunni mosque. When I in fact went to my first Ahmadiyya mosque and attended Joma, I noticed absolutely no difference in the prayer, and I noticed that there was no real difference on how the Muslims conducted themselves. But I also see the similar thing when I was as Jehovah's Witness, the way the brothers and sisters mingled. There was always some kind of division between them. I also noticed that everybody loved one another that was in the congregation, so there was that brotherhood. This similarity is something I've been attracted to my entire life, and the day my mother told me that we're no longer Jehovah's Witnesses, when I was 14, I was devastated that I lost that brotherhood with fellow believers. And when I accepted Islam when I was 20, I didn't have that brotherhood with the Sunni sect actually, because the people who introduced me to Islam, soon after I became very dedicated and started reading the Quran and talking about the Quran and always talking about Allah, they're not impressed with that actually. I later on moved to another community when I moved, and I found that these people wanted to talk about it more than I did, and that became a very attractive thing to me.
And as we're talking about being an Ahmadi, you know, and we're on the subject of what we have to offer, but I also want to talk about what does Ahmadiyyat have to offer that other sects of Islam or other religions just don't?
But I think before you start that, I mean, a very important aspect of brotherhood is also how the community how the community is organized. For example, just from a youth perspective, I mean, there are programs within the youth. The youth are told that, you know, this is your group. The 15 to 40-year-olds, you form one group. The 7 to 15-year-olds, you form one group. So there's ingrained organization structure developed so that brotherhood is created, so that you hang out with the people who are of your own age, of your own like-mindedness. And that's where brotherhood forms, right? It's, and then it begins to develop, right? So you make friends, and then from there you develop, and then you begin to learn that, you know, I have the same set of beliefs that the other person does, and that brings you closer, physically and spiritually.
We had a lot of excitement in the audience, and I've seen a few hands go up, and I want to go to my audience member here, if we just can get the mic right up here.
Jazakallah. The question that I have is, while we're talking about being excited about being Ahmadi and having brotherhood, there comes this sort of like pride between us that, oh, we are Ahmadi, we are the truth ones. So how do we, without gloating or without like seeing big-headed when we were talking about Ahmadiyya to someone else, how do we hide that or sort of control that sort of we are better than you? Do we show that, or how do we direct it?
You bring up a great point, and we're going to be discussing that later on in the show as well. I know you wanted to add something on the subject of Khilafat.
Yeah, I mean, just in talking to some friends about Khilafat, and they bring up the fact that, you know, Catholicism has a pope. And, you know, what my question is, and like, what makes Khilafat different than any other leadership in the world, any other sect of religion? What makes our Khilafat better or different than any other sect?
You know, and I think you were just touching up on it, that Khilafat is a very divine blessing. And I want to come back to that. What makes it divine?
Well, the institution of Khilafat is directly guided by Allah, by God. You won't hear the Pope or Catholics make that claim, and I know what I'm talking about. I was raised as a Roman Catholic. They'll say that the Pope is infallible in all matters of faith, and it stops there. And he doesn't very often make any dictates regarding matters of faith. They'll put a committee together and study it for 20 or 30 years and come up with a conclusion. Now, we see time and time again the proof of the truth of Ahmadiyyat, and again, this is something we have to offer the world, is the truthfulness and the guidance given by Allah to our Khilafat. I'll give you an example. I was in London in 1988 when Khalifatul Masih Rabi gave his Friday sermon, and it was around August the 9th, I think. And he said, Allah has told me last night in a dream that General Zia will meet his end as those who in the past who claimed the prophets were liars would meet their end. Now, I came home from London and phoned my father on that Monday, and I said to him, consider General Zia finished. And his plane crashed, and all his generals and ambassadors of many countries died in that plane crash 2 days later. This is the proof we can give of the divine guidance given to Khilafat by Allah directly. And we have examples of that through the entire history of Khilafat.
We find that Ahmadis constantly come back to Khilafat to find the quench to their thirst. So in today's time, what type of a role does a Khalifa play?
You see, as we were speaking before, when the promised Messiah, Hazrat Masih Maud died in 1908, the entire world had a big laugh and they thought that Ahmadiyyat is finished. And then according to the prophecy of Allah and according to the prophecy of the promised Messiah, Khilafat was established. And Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Awwal became the Khalifa, and people thought he's an old man and Ahmadiyyat will die at any time. And then the second Khalifa was elected, and third Khalifa was elected, and the fourth Khalifa was elected, and the fifth Khalifa is elected. I have, by the grace of Allah, seen the period of 4 Khulafa.
MashaAllah.
And I have just returned a few months back from Ecuador and Suriname and Jamaica and many other countries in the Caribbean, and I was astonished how that seed that was planted, how it is thriving, how the branches are growing in different parts of the world. I saw people speaking the Spanish language, sending praise on Hazrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam, speaking different French language, other languages, Urdu, Punjabi, different languages. And as you said earlier at the start, that this fire that was started from that tiny hamlet, that dusty hamlet of Qadian, as a result of the institution of Khilafat, this tree has now grown and its branches cover all parts of the world. And this is the secret of our success, that we have got that institution of Khilafat, and we must hold on collectively, as God says in the Holy Quran, وَاتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا, that you should collectively hold on to this rope of Allah, collectively. So if anybody wants to know the secret of the progress of our Jamaat, it is in the institution of Khilafat Ahmadiyya.
And coming right back to my audience member, I know you wanted to share something.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum. I've just been experiencing that after for my Khilafat, I was part of the Hazrat Mirza Tahir Ahmed. When after his passing away, we had those 2 days, 3 days, while there was almost no Khilafat, we were speechless almost. I could experience for myself that I was not able to do anything. I did not know what to do next. I was not able to move. I did not know what to do in life. And I was very, and the day when Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmed became Khalifa, I literally felt that I have life again in myself. It was such a great connection. I did not even know the man. I did not even know his name. But just because of him, just because knowing again that we have Khilafat again, we were lively again in our lives. And I think that speaks to Allah for most of us as well here.
That's a very nice point. So I want to talk about the religious point of view of it. And as we look around in the world, if we follow the current events, that peace and harmony around the world seems to be missing, especially in the Muslim world. And why do you think that is?
They've got no direction. It's a pity that the Muslims, so many Muslims who have got mountains of wealth, mounts of wealth, fossil reserves they've got, and look at the position that they have. They're all in turmoil because they have no leadership. They have nobody who is divinely guided, who would take care of the flock. So it's a pity that the Muslims, despite the wealth that they have, despite the numbers that there are, they are living a life of a very unfortunate life. It is because they have failed to recognize the reformer that was sent to them. That reformer that came, they rejected that reformer, and it is as a result of that rejection that unfortunately you can see the Muslim world all over is engulfed in turmoil. The earthquakes are there, the floods are there, the mosquitoes are biting, and you have different types of sicknesses that are all over rampant. And you see the sorry state of the Muslims in the Middle East, in the Far East. It's a pity. And the sooner they understand this blessing of Allah in the institution of Khilafat, the better, because without a shepherd, the flock will go astray.
And you're speaking about flock, and Adam, I want to come over to yourself because I know you have a lot of contacts, a lot of people that you frequently speak about this subject. Would you agree with what Mubarak Nazir Sahib just said?
Yes, I definitely agree about when he was saying how there would be peace in the world, and the the reason that there hasn't been peace is because they haven't accepted that reformer. During my conversations with my Tabligh contacts, one thing that they always ask me is that what is Islam's way of getting peace in the world? And sometimes they criticize me by attributing Ahmadiyya to the other sects of Islam and saying that if we don't convert, we die. And I told them that that is not a way to make peace. You know, you can't create peace by pointing guns at everybody and saying, let's have some peace. What I did tell them is exactly what Nazir Mubarak Sahib said, is that you just have to read about this life of this man who came in 1835 and died in 1908. You know, listen to him, read his books, and tell me if this person wasn't trying to achieve the goal of creating peace in the world. And so I definitely have told them that you want peace, then you have to read about this man that I met just a few years ago.
So as we're connecting the dot, we already agreed that a lot of Ahmadis have that strong bond of brotherhood, which comes directly from that relationship with Khilafat, and that's where they're finding their peace. And I've seen a lot of hands in the audience go up. I know right back there you wanted to share something as well, so you could just get the mic right back there. Go ahead.
I just like to say that most Muslims, they want Khilafat in the world, non-Ahmadi Muslims. And many organizations that try to create Khilafat, even terrorist organizations such as the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, they came to a decision where they said we need Khilafat, that's why we're doing all this. But what they fail to understand is that Khilafat is a rope thrown down by God, and that they themselves, even if they all came together, could never create it. And in Islam, in Ahmadiyyat, we're given that rope. We're given the Khilafat, and that's why we're together. And the problem the Muslims are having, and the reason they're fighting amongst themselves in the Arab Spring, is because they don't have Khilafat, because they don't have one leader. And once they accept one leader, then they'll have peace.
And we were just talking about that. Go ahead, you want to share something?
Well, there's another aspect of what we have to offer the world through Khilafat, and it's the system of Jamaat. And I toured Nigeria. We drove about 5,500 kilometers, hit about 1 million potholes, and put the truck back together a few times. And they asked me at the end of my tour what I thought of Nigeria. And I said, well, Nigeria is like an idiot that got rich. They have a lot of money, but it's so poorly run it doesn't function as a country. And I had the privilege of speaking to the Jamia students the day before I left, and my advice to them was to learn the system of Jamaat, because I'm convinced someday that the government of Nigeria will come to Jamaat and ask Jamaat to run their country. And if you look at the system that Khilafat has established within the Jamaat, the Emir, the National Alma members, and the different departments, it looks like a small government. So we're already structured to move into a country and help them to establish a system that will run that country efficiently, so they can benefit from the blessings God has given them in natural resources, human resources, etc. And that day is going to come very soon.
And we were just talking about how Khilafat is the very secret that holds every Ahmadi together. Well, I guess it's not really a secret because we're so openly talking about it. But what I want to ask you is, if it's such a beautiful thing, if it's such a divine thing, have other Muslims attempted Khilafat? Have they tried to establish Khilafat within themselves or taken attempts at it?
They have tried and tried and tried. And Hazur Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Aziz has several times, Khalifatul Masih Rabi in particular, and Khalifatul Masih Khamis also, that you will never be able to establish Khilafat, because you do not believe in the institution of the coming of the Messiah. The Khilafat is always after the prophethood, and without prophethood you can never get Khilafat. So people getting together, Khilafat for 5 years, this country, this sect, and 5 years that sect, and 5 years that sect. A Khilafat that does not emanate from Allah Ta'ala, that Khilafat can never work. And I would like to share one little experience that I was in Rabwa. I had gone on an official journey to Rabwa, and I was there. I heard the demise of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Rabi, and I remember that I felt nothingness, and I felt total emptiness. And I, up till now, do not remember how I went to my home, whether I walked, I took a rickshaw, I do not remember. But when I went back to London, I saw Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Khamis. And I knew him before he became a Khalifa. I knew him very well. But when I went to London and I saw him sitting on that chair, I was astonished. He was a different person. He was a different man, the new man. So this is how Khilafat is guided by Allah Ta'ala, and how instantaneously a Khalifa, a person who is ordinary, walking here and there, how he is transformed. And I saw that depth of love and that depth of affection in him that I was absolutely speechless when I saw him. He asked me to say something. I could not say anything. When before that, we used to chat, we used to talk together. This is how a Khilafat that is supported by Allah Ta'ala, where the shadow of Allah Ta'ala is there. And as Hazrat Masih Maud had said, that, "O Mansoor, have no worry, I am with you. Inni ma'aka ya Masroor." So I saw the practical manifestation of this prophecy that Allah Ta'ala is with him. And I have just come from Africa also, and the tremendous progress that is being made all over the world. I have seen many countries, and I can say on oath that this is a divine community, and the institution is such, it is worth that we sacrifice everything that we have in order to sustain the institution of Khilafat.
So I guess we can comfortably come to the conclusion that it is a divine operation. You can attempt and try, and if the Khilafat is appointed by Allah Ta'ala himself. And I want to come back to my audience here. We want to share, I know we've seen a few hands go up. Any personal or direct experience with Khilafat that might have transformed you?
Well, really it is that Khilafat has transformed me as a person, is that it has made me into a better person. That I've become to think that every time I'm walking on the street, or it's become like my conscience basically, that if I want to do something bad, or even if I want to do something good, if I want to do something good, then I have purpose to doing it, because I think that, okay, do you know what, I am doing this, and this is exactly what the Khalifa would want from me. And if I'm doing something bad, then I think that, oh no, I shouldn't do this because the Khalifa wouldn't want this from me. What would I say to the Khalifa when I meet him? Or what would I say when Khalifa is before me? So this automatically changes me, and it just strives me for me to do good. And I think that's what's really important, is that Khilafat, or anyone that can say this, that Khilafat makes you into a better person, that connection with Khilafat makes you into a better person.
So it's constantly instilled in your conscience that, I have a Khalifa.
Yeah.
Great, and we have a fantastic discussion going on here as we were talking about why am I an Ahmadi, and there's so many reasons, but that Khilafat seems to be the bond that holds us together. We have a great discussion going on. We are going to take a quick break. Stay with us, and we'll be right back with you. Jazakallah.
Visit MTA International's official YouTube channel to catch up on past episodes of your favorite programs. If you want another chance to watch Hazrat Khalifatul Masih's Friday sermons, MTA International's special programs and documentaries, or our wide selection of nazms, simply visit www.youtube.com/MTAonline1. MTA International's official YouTube channel, delivering our unique content direct to the world.
Another milestone in the history of MTA. Another sign fulfilling the prophecy revealed to the promised Messiah alayhi salam. I shall cause thy message to reach the corners of the earth. By the sheer grace of Allah, MTA's broadcast can now be seen on your mobile phone anytime, anywhere in the world. Watch MTA International wherever you are with our new mobile streaming service. Simply visit www.mta.tv on your iPad, iPhone, BlackBerry or Android device and choose the stream of your choice.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Real Talk Canada. Right before the break, we were discussing why am I an Ahmadi? and we spoke about some of the similarities, the differences. We also had a chance to discover the very core secret that holds all Ahmadis together, which is Khilafat. But as we're progressing forward, we want to talk about the role that Ahmadis play in the society. And I want to go right to my panel members. And Atal Wahid Saab, I want to come to you. What role do Ahmadis play in this current society?
I think our most important role, or one of our most important roles, is to try to bring society back to reality or rationality. You know, as an Ahmadi Muslim, I'm not expected to believe in fairy tales and mythology and children's stories and these unrealistic expectations that have never occurred in the past. I mean, we believe they're not going to occur in the future. God has sent the reformer of this age, and we're his followers, and it's as simple as that. He was treated like the reformers of the past ages have been treated. His movement's growing similar to movements in the past. And the same challenges are faced today that were faced in the past. So, we don't have to believe in a hidden imam in a cave that's been hiding for 800 years. We don't have to believe that Jesus is sitting in heaven and he's going to descend after a 2,000-year wait or on deck, as we say in baseball terms. We don't have to believe in these mythological types of ideas. So that's one of our most important roles, is to try and bring society back to rationality and realism. That these things aren't going to happen. It doesn't matter how long you wait. That God has sent his reformer, his Messiah for this age, and they should accept him.
Adam, I want to come over to you. I know you wanted to add to that. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that that is one of the reasons that I maintain my ideas, that I enjoy being an Ahmadi and that I don't have to believe in these fairy tales. And when somebody is preaching to me, like a Christian or a non-Ahmadi Muslim, I'm always asking them, like, even if I give into this argument, there's so much of your belief, there's so many aspects to your other beliefs that I would never be able to accept. You know, maybe I might not be able to properly explain myself in this particular argument, but I would never get over the hurdles that some non-Ahmadis have about jinn, or that some Christians have about the Holy Ghost, and that Bethany, the Catholics have that thing about Bethany Hill. I just wouldn't be able to get over some of those things. So being an Ahmadi, as Atawa is saying, is that I'm free from those ideologies and I'm free from those irrational concepts.
So I want to ask you, in terms of value, what can non-Ahmadis take from Ahmadis?
I think our seriousness with our responsibilities to God. Something that I am always in check with myself is when I'm surrounded by Qudam who are very serious about their responsibilities as a Qadim and their responsibilities to the Jamaat. It keeps me in line that, you know, this image that we're having, this value that we're upholding, it's very serious. And when we say that we are the true followers of God, we don't just say it with a word, we say it with our actions.
And speaking about the true followers of God, Sabisab, do you feel that our current youth are doing justice to that?
Oh, absolutely. See, the other thing that we have to also note is truth doesn't need selling. Truth is its own
entity.
Is its own entity. Is its own salesman, right? You've seen examples in everyday life. A diamond is a diamond. I mean, you know, you look at it, and there it is in its pristine form, in its beauty, in all of its glory. You see it. That's what Ahmadiyyat is. That's what Ahmadiyyat has done. It has removed that veil off of Islam, and when that is presented to non-Ahmadis, then they begin to see, oh, that is what Islam is. Oh, it's not what is being portrayed in the media. Oh, it's not those nonsensical things that we hear about what Muslims, other so-called Muslims are doing. Those are not the teachings of Hazrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So when you present something pure, why would somebody not be attracted to it? I mean, if this would be like presenting somebody a piece of coal and a diamond, and the guy goes, no, I'll go for the coal.
So let's talk about these Ahmadi youth in particular.
Yeah.
What is their constant motivation to stay so committed to the Jamaat?
And see, this is the beauty, because of their association, and I mentioned before too, with Khilafat, right? So we have this constant connection with a person whom we believe is divinely appointed. So any and all instructions that come from him, they are followed. So youth, within the constitution of youth, there is, and also within the conditions of Ba'ath, Hazrat Masih Islam has said that we service humanity. So youth focus on this and other things exclusively. There are, and there's so many programs. There are programs related to blood drive, where we don't just go out and say that we're gonna, we're Ahmadis. I mean, there was a question by the audience that was asked earlier on that are we supposed to feel proud of our beliefs? Well, beliefs is one thing, but what do I do for society? There's blood drives. There's New Year cleanups. There is programs that are done in various food programs that are done, food raising events, helping out humanity first, going out to disaster relief areas. These are some of the programs that the youth in Canada alone have helped over the past so many years.
So, Sabi Sahib, you're saying that the Ahmadi youth constantly participate in Good Samaritan acts. And Adam, I want to come to you. You came into a Jamaat as a convert, and there's a lot of born Ahmadi youth around you. Would you agree with what Sabi Sahib is saying?
Yes, I definitely think that the Jamaat for the Qadam activities is definitely striking. One thing that I would like to share is that the first year that I was a Khadim, they gathered together to go clean up on New Year's Day. Yes. And I was thinking, oh, I was one of those people throwing the beer bottles and throwing the bottles there. And these people all that time were cleaning them up. And even when I was on the street with my vest and going, clicking up things, I saw a club and all these memories came back. And I saw the path and I thought, I'm so happy to be on this side of the fence. Like, I'm ashamed of that memory almost. But I'm making up for it now because I'm part of this community that is giving back to society, cleaning up. And while all of these people who partied on New Year's night are sleeping, I'm awake in the early morning cleaning after their meth, and it made me very proud.
We're talking about change, and Adam, you spoke about the change in lifestyle of the two extreme. You gave the example of a New Year's Eve and then a later New Year's Eve, which was a completely different experience, rather a more spiritual one. Is there other challenges that you've come across within the Western society on a day-to-day basis? And if you have, what are some of them?
My salat definitely has been my challenge. For instance, when I go to school and Zohar prayer will take place, I'm wondering how extreme I should take this, as if I should just walk out of the class. And then if I walk out of the class and go pray, I miss out on what my teacher says. Is that what Islam requires of me too? But then I slowly learned the ease of the religion, being able to combine certain prayers under certain conditions. And I went through a difficult time trying to fit my 5 daily prayers into my daily life in the Western world, because I never had this spiritual exercising throughout my day before. Before it was only 3-4 days a week for a couple hours. Now it's 5 times a day. And after I listened to a question and answer session from the 4th Khalifa, he was asked, as a Muslim, how do I try to pray 5 times a day? He says, how do you find time to gossip? How do you find time to talk to people? How do you find time to do anything? If something is very important to you, and if something truly matters to you, you will find time for it, time to play, time to talk. So it became very easy to find time to do my salat.
Talwat Sahib, you weren't born an Ahmadi.
No.
You in the Western society, you became an Ahmadi. There must have been certain hinders, certain struggles that you had in the beginning. What were some of the challenges? And despite that, why did you continue to have your faith?
But from the perspective of why I'm an Ahmadi and what Ahmadi it's brought me the truth. And I'll give you an example. Again, I mentioned earlier in the program, I was reading Tazkirah, and I read the quote from the Promised Messiah around 1890, 1891, where God told him, good news regarding Hazrat Isa, Jesus Christ, from Kashmir. About 2 days later, I got an email from the doctor in Kano, Nigeria, Dr. Madassar, with a link to a video that was an official documentary called Jesus in Kashmir, made by the government of India. On that documentary, they show the picture of Promised Messiah and say, and that all of his research has been proven to be 100% true. So I get this constantly, evidence that his teachings are true, and that he was truly a prophet of God. I have God telling me constantly, some way, that Ahmadiyyat is true. So I've discovered the truth. You know, it's like finding a cure for cancer and wanting to share it with other cancer patients. The problem I face is they don't seem to be interested in the cure. But I can't do anything about that. How do you interest a people that are spiritually dead, and how do you make them spiritually alive? That's my biggest challenge as an Ahmadi. They don't even know they have cancer. They don't know they have a disease. No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And especially in the Western society. Go ahead. Did you want to add something?
See, I think part of the issue, part of the challenge is that, right? The challenge here is that you find around you there's indifference. Right? I'm not interested. You know, I have my job. I have my school. I want to go to my pub nights. I want to do this. I mean, this is the society around us, right? And as Ahmadis, we have a responsibility that if we do not engage in ourselves, if that bond of brotherhood is not strong, then this would begin to attract us. So this, because you were asking me earlier about the challenge, this is a big challenge, right? So you have to continually polish yourself. Otherwise, you begin to get attracted toward those things. I mean, we've all grown up here. I've grown up here. I've seen how the university life and the high school culture. I mean, there was a period in time when I'm in high school and my fellow students, they couldn't believe that I don't drink, and without any exaggeration, we actually spent 10 minutes of an algebra class, them trying to convince me what is the best first drink to have. You know, don't start off with a beer because it's too harsh. I mean, this is a challenge, and they just couldn't understand that the reason why I don't drink is because it's a religious choice. Mm-hmm. Because they don't believe in, they've lost that touch with their religion. This is a big challenge that we face in the society here.
Go ahead, Adam. I'll let you add to that.
He had, as he mentioned, he had his circle of friends who were encouraging him the first drink. I had to deal with that circle about the pig, of eating pork. And I was working at a restaurant, and all the kitchen was trying to convince me like how good pork was. And I told them that, you know, I love the smell of it cooking, and most Muslims don't understand that. And I said that I even enjoy the taste, but I don't eat pork because God said so. And I experienced the argument. They'll say, oh, you say pork is unhealthy, filthy animal. Science says this about the pig, immoral this. And I said, whatever reason you have to convince me for eating the pork, God has told me not to eat it. So I don't care if it is the juiciest thing on the planet. If God said don't eat it, then that's fine with me. I will not eat it.
And I want to come back to my audience right here in the studio. Go ahead, you want to share your experience?
Yeah, so I asked this question before, but I think now is a better time to ask this question. I go to a school where there are a lot of Muslims, but there are not a lot of Ahmadis. So there's a lot of non-Ahmadi Muslims there. So one time one of these, and I made friends with them as well, and they said to me that, okay, come with us, it's namaz time. Right? And I was like, uh-oh, what do I do now, right? Because I can't read namaz behind them. So I started walking with them, and while I'm walking with them, I'm trying to explain to them that this is why I can't read namaz behind you. And what he said to me was, he looked at me and he's like, so do you think you're better than me now? Right? And like, I was shocked because I was in a way, but then I didn't want to seem arrogant. I didn't want to seem that, yes, I am better than you, like bow down to me or something. I didn't want to make it seem like that. But I didn't know what to do then, right? So I'd ask the panel now, like, what would I do? How do I make myself not appear that I am better than you, but at the same time be humble about it? Because this is what Islam teaches, that you should be humble about everything. So how do I really conquer that? That's really a big issue that I have personally.
And I want to bring that issue over to yourself, Adam. I know that's something you've constantly in the last 3 years of come into face-to-face and direct contact with. So I'll let you take that away.
I definitely experienced that exact same situation where I was with a bunch of non-Ahmadis and it was time for Salat, and then they all got up to pray, and we were so close, like within a few hours that we met. They were my wife's high school or university friends, and so we had such a good relationship with playing games and everything, and all of a sudden Maghrib came, and they said, oh, it's time for Maghrib, let's go do wuzu. And I thought, oh my God, I thought I was going to go through the whole night having not to go this way. This is definitely going to kill the rest of the night. So what I first did is I did wuzu, and then I got into the rows, and the imam started to lead. And just before the salat started, I told God that I'm not one of these people, and I'm going to offer my Maghrib prayer alone. But God, I'm going to move when they move in order to be stealth. So I offered my own salat, I recited my own prayers, and I did everything the same. I ended up telling Amir Saab I did this. And when we were having a meeting together, I told Amir Saab I experienced this thing, and I told him what I did. And Amir Saab told me that what I did was not good, because I was trying to hide like a fragrance of my belief. And you can't hide a fragrance that smells so good like that. So he said what I did in that situation should be the last and only time, but the next time I should be proud to tell the people that, you know, I will offer my salat differently, I will offer it over here, and if you wish to engage in why, I will take the time to explain it to you. But I would definitely, I definitely think everybody's going to get to that point where we have a tabligh contact, we haven't exactly said I'm an Ahmadi, and then all of a sudden salat comes.
And you know, talking about the youth, Sabina, I want to come back to you because this is not the first time you've probably heard this.
Yeah, and see, what I also find is that where there are challenges in the West, Canada is an amazing country to be in. You know, the society has within itself built respect for the religion of the other person. I have, throughout my university career, throughout my professional career, I have not experienced once a discrimination based on the fact that I have to go to Jummah, I have to go for prayers. It doesn't matter whether it's a meeting with a VP. I mean, it's booked in my calendar. I'm busy at this time. Nobody bothers you. This is something that makes it, so my point is that where there are challenges in the West, it's so easy to practice Ahmadiyyat. It's so easy to practice Islam. My wife is not from Canada, and she tells me that in Europe, when she was younger, it was a very taboo thing that she would go out with her head covered. But she comes to Canada, she's like, nobody even looks at you. So this society makes it very easy for you to follow, to practice whatever religion you are following. And as Muslims, and in your particular example, I know because he's going to the same school that I went to, that those challenges were there. And they were very respectful. I mean, I was the only Ahmadi at that time. There were other non-Muslims, and they were never made an issue. They had a room where they used to go and pray. After they're done with their prayers, I would go and offer my prayers.
And Mubarak Zisab, I want to come to you. You know, we were talking about the image that an Ahmadi has to carry, and you've been all over the Canadas and the United States. Have you, gotten any direct stereotyping when you've been in the public, or any direct challenges that you face? Because I know you very proudly show off the image that you wear each day.
Yeah, first of all, this question that you asked just now, you know, the imam is somebody that we elect. People elect and he starts leading the prayer. But an imam that has been elected by God, that is a promised Messiah, who was elected by God as an imam, when people reject that imam, elected by God, so that is why we reject those imams who have been made by human beings. So that is the reason why we do not offer prayers, because you know the Holy Prophet said that if you call a Muslim a kafir, then there are only two possibilities. Either he is a kafir or you are a kafir. So the kufr, reverberates back onto you. So these are some of the reasons. We do not say that their prayers have gone astray. They should continue with their prayers. We allow people who come to our mosque to lead themselves in their prayers. We are open to that, and then we can say our prayers later on. Well, I have worked in different parts. I have been a missionary by the grace of Allah for almost 50 years.
MashaAllah.
I have worked in different places. Never have I ever experienced. People are always respectful. People are always tolerant. And people are always happy. You see, they want to see a better human being, that's all. And so I have never experienced, if at all I have experienced, I have forgotten, because I do not remember anybody, you know. People sometimes object and give some questions, you know, which are, you know, very harsh. But other than that, the situation is that the world is a fallow ground, ready to accept the seed of Ahmadiyyat. Entire humanity is in need. And Hazrat Masih Maud had said, this is the time of the coming of the Messiah. If I had not come, somebody else would have come. So the world is now ready to, so you know, the soil is fertile. The rain is there. So the seed has already been planted. You and I have to nourish and see that that seed grows, and the growth of that seed depends on our devotion, on our prayers, on the water of our eyes, our prayers. The entire khutbah yesterday, if you all remember, day before yesterday, was entirely devoted to prayers, that you should pray to God. And you know, Allah Ta'ala says that one of the proofs of my existence is that I accept prayers.
Jazakallah. And you know, we've got a fantastic conversation and a great dialogue between our audience and our panel. You know, we had a chance to discuss why am I an Ahmadi. We were also joined by 2 converts, as well as a missionary charge and somebody that has a great experience of dealing with the Ahmadi youth and the challenges that comes with it each day. We also had a chance to learn about the secrets that bonds this community together, which is Khilafat, as well as some of the similarities, some of the differences, and as well as what are things that Ahmadis have done to integrate into society. As well as we would love to get some of the views of our audience all around the world. As our show comes into conclusion, I want to come right back to our panel and see if we can get any final remarks that our panelists would like to share. Adam, go ahead.
I would just like to say, so you can take this home with you, is to tell your non-Ahmadi friends that the only reason why you don't pray behind a Christian is because that person has not accepted Muhammad as a prophet after Hazrat Isa alayhi salam. So we say the same thing to the non-Ahmadis. I only don't pray after you because you didn't accept the person who came after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But also think that that person has never known that. So when I say I don't pray behind you because you didn't accept, I sometimes say I don't pray behind you because you don't know that another prophet came after, and that is who we pray behind.
Sabina, you wanted to add something to that?
I think the closing thought in our minds, and we have obviously youth sitting here and also youth listening to this all around the world, is that Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Salas Rahimahullah Ta'ala in his speech at one time to the students of University of Karachi mentioned that you as role models are how Ahmadiyyat is portrayed. So when you are in educational institutions, when you are in high schools and universities, your actions are what differentiates you from others. And the fact that, you know, we say, why I'm an Ahmadi? Well, we're an Ahmadi because we've been shown that there in this world there is a person appointed by God. And if that excitement doesn't reverberate out of us, then its actions, there's no conviction behind our beliefs. So people need to be able to see that in us. People need to be able to see that in how we walk, in how we talk, and that's how that attraction is made. That's
so
how we
everything
can bring
is more than just lifestyle. It's your actions, it's your belief.
Ahmadiyyat isn't just a word; it's a package, right?
It's your
Islam
overall
is a package,
right?
Exactly. So you can't differentiate, just say one thing and then turn around and have something completely different. So
I guess it's, so what you're trying to say is your overall code of conduct. And Dal Wahid, you wanted to add something to that.
Yeah, I like the concept that it's a package, because I want to, conclude with the same message I gave to the Jamia students in Nigeria. Don't only learn the religious philosophy of Ahmadiyya, the arguments, proving the truth of promised Messiah, proving the truth of Islam. You have to learn the system of Jamaat, because the day's not far off when I'm convinced the world's going to turn to Jamaat and ask the Jamaat, for God's sakes, help us run this world because we can't do it successfully.
Jazakallah. That would bring to the conclusion of our show, Why Am I an Ahmadi? We hope that you enjoyed it. I would like to thank our studio panel, our live audience, especially the viewers around the world. We would love to hear back from our audience. Always participate in the show via emailing us. We also are on Twitter and a website, so feel free to get in contact. We would love to get your viewpoints, your suggestions for the show, as well as your overall feedback on what you thought about the show. You can always reach us on Twitter, as well as we have a website, mta.tv/realtalk. You can always email us as well, realtalk@mta.tv. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.